Welcome back again to Joe's Stun Unboxing. How you doing? Morning video, morning mug of tea. Good morning to you all. Right. One thing that's very interesting about this whole Fury debacle, with him essentially, well, without question, ducking Usyk and, the sort of blather that's come out from Frank Warren over the last day or so, is that it's the amount of simps in the so-called boxing journalistic world who fawn around Warren, tiptoe around him, tiptoe around all the awkward questions, don't ask any of the awkward questions. In fact, actually make excuses for Warren, Fury, that whole shambles. Now, I predate the internet because I'm of a certain age, and I grew up reading, literally thousands of boxing magazines. I used to buy about 4 or 5 a month for many years. I read loads and loads of books, and that's how I got my fistic education about the old timers. And there used to be the British Boxing Border Control yearbook, which had all the, nowadays you've got BoxRec, of course, but it had all the lists of people's records, and I'd study them, and he fought him, and how many times did he fight him, and all this business. But basically, that was an education. And the boxing journalists of old, Harry Mullan, Hugh McIlvanney, and there were books by people like Norman Mailer, A.J. Liebling, and you'd read these books, you'd read these journalists, and you'd get, there were two things. Number one, they knew what they were talking about, right? And number two, they had some integrity. They had a bit of journalistic dignity, okay? And number three, they were great writers. I mean, they were really entertaining to read. You wanted to read more and more and more. It wasn't flat, it wasn't stale, nothing was, ghost written or anything. It's rubbish. They were proper writers. Nowadays, who do we have? Again, we just have a load of, so-called journalists who are really just YouTubers. I mean, I'm a YouTuber, obviously. I've got this channel, but I don't consider myself to be a journalist. I just, make comments on boxing. I'm certainly not an expert. I'm not a historian. I think to be a historian, you've got to do your own research. You've got to really unearth things that aren't previously known, or offer something new through research. It's kind of like, doing a dissertation, if you like, if you're at university. You've got to present something new to be a historian. I'm not. I'm just a guy who's read a load of books and a ton of magazines, literally a ton of magazines. But bearing in mind the way that, I mean, the biggest shill of all is Gareth A. Davies. I'll use him as an example because he is so appallingly fawning and simping over the Fury camp. There was an interview with him. I can't remember who it was. I watched it yesterday. I couldn't get through the whole thing, but he was saying, yeah, well, I kind of think I'm disappointed in both of them. I really think, I really think they, I kind of lay the blame at both their feet. Do you really, Gareth? Do you really? Okay. Well, in that case, you're either not paying attention, in which case you're not fit to be called a journalist, or you're overwhelmingly biased in favour of one guy, and you're trying to buy into Frank Warren's damage limitation routine. You're helping him out. I'm not convinced Usyk wanted the fight, said Davies. Really? What do you say when someone says that? How can you call yourself a journalist? Have you no dignity? Have you no journalistic integrity? You're talking absolute guff, and you damn well know it. Can you imagine Hugh McIlvanney putting up with the crap that Fury has come out with over the last 6 months, with the absolute charlatan, fraudulent drivel that spewed out of Frank Warren's mouth yesterday during those interviews? That issue fudging, gaslighting, fatuous nonsense. Just, I mean, I can't find the words. I can't find the words with this guy. Just, well, I'm not a journalist. I can't find the words. But the point is, people who claim they are journalists are not doing it. They're not saying, hang on a minute, what are you talking about? all the effort to make that fight, or at least, 98%, or I would say 100%, but all right, I'll be generous to Fury, 98%. We'll do a 98-2 split, because Fury does like his unhinged splits. So 98% of the effort to make this fight came from Alexander Usyk and his team. And they pulled out, which of course gives, or at least in the eyes of Fury and Warren, gives them the ideal excuse. They pulled out because they just kept, the goalposts kept getting moved. It didn't matter what they agreed to. Fury didn't want the fight. And he made that excuse about, well, Sugar Hill was over here to begin training with Fury. No, he wasn't. He came over because he's Lawrence Okoly's new trainer. And Okoly has a fight coming up. And in fact, if you watch the interview, Sugar Hill revealed that he already had a ticket to sod off home, back to America, after the Okoly fight. He didn't come over here, to fight, to train Fury in any shape or form. Nothing was finalised because Fury never wanted the fight. And journalists should not be simps. If you're a journalist, you ask the awkward questions. You're not meant to be somebody's mate, and you're certainly not meant to be accepting, lovely meals at exclusive restaurants or hotels or wherever the hell they were. Danny Flexen, another one of Warren's mates, he did an interview yesterday with Warren, and he kind of, he mentioned one or two minor things, but go for the jugular, man, if you're a journalist. He began the interview by saying, we had a lovely meal, in this wonderful, I'm here with my friend Frank Warren. Why even pretend that there's some sort of impartiality? Journalism is not carrying a camera around, pointing it in someone's face and asking them a few basic questions. That's not journalism. Journalism is asking the awkward questions, the questions are relevant to the issue and that the public want asked. And the majority of the public, apart from obviously the Fury fanboys who are beyond help, won't even consider them. Mind you, a lot of the Fury fans have turned against Fury, I've noticed. But you've got to ask the questions that matter. Most people want to know, why did Fury bottle this fight? Because that's what he did, he bottled it. And he was on, of course, inevitably he was on, on the, released one of his cretinous little videos calling Usyk every name under the sun and saying he pulled out all this garbage. Oh, do me a favour, as Frank Warren would say. Anyway, if you want real journalism, if you want to read real writers who understand the sport, who cannot be bought, go read a Hugh McIlvanney book, or go back and read some Harry Mullan articles. Jack Hirsch is another very, very good journalist. Yeah. What do all these people have in common? They predate the internet. They're proper journalists. Thomas Hauser, he was another good one, very, very good journalist. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Leave your comments below. Thanks for your time as always. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you liked it, and we will speak again soon. Bye-bye for now.